Hey everybody, welcome back. Have you ever had an idea in your heart or a dream in your mind? I said that backwards. Have you ever had a dream in your heart or an idea in your mind that you knew, if you gave it the energy that you knew it deserved, you could actually create said thing? Have you ever wondered what is it that stops us from actually creating the things that we want to create? Today I'm going to be talking about that. And the book that I want to talk about that addresses this very idea of that thing that stops us from creating the things that we want to create is Steven Pressfield's book, The War of Art. And in this book, he really addresses the two main things that push us to not create and that push us to create. The first of which is resistance, which stops us from creating, and the second of which is the muse, which is what he calls kind of like the higher realms that inspire our creativity. So anyways, those are the two overarching ideas of the book. There's going to be 5 different ideas that I talk about throughout. And again, this isn't a chapter by chapter review. This is me kind of pulling on the things that I found interesting and then presenting those interesting things to you so that we can chew on them together. I digress. The first idea that he talks about, and I mentioned this at the beginning, is this concept of resistance. What is resistance? And he defines resistance in a myriad of different ways. But really, resistance is the force that pushes against all our creative endeavors. The thing that stops us from actually sitting down and pressing record or putting said pen to said paper or tickling said ivories with said fingers or finally sitting down to write the book or remodel the living room. It's that thing that stops us from engaging in the creative endeavors that we desire to engage in. And resistance comes in a myriad of different forms. One of the main ideas that I found so interesting about the topic of resistance is how love and resistance are so tightly linked. The direct proportion of how deeply we desire to achieve some outcome of creativity directly corresponds with how much resistance we come into when we're trying to engage in any creative endeavor. Therefore, if you're finding it really difficult to start something or to put your hand to the thing that you want to do and create, it's likely because you care about it so much that you don't actually want to start it, because the dread, the worry, the fear of what if it's successful? What if it's a failure? What if you're not nearly as good as you think you are? These are some of the ideas he grapples with throughout this book. And what's fascinating is he identifies the very thing that we all can feel that we're too afraid to actually address. So that's the first idea. The whole concept that resistance, the pressure and the frictions that push up against all our creativity is directly correspondent with how much we love something, or how deeply and desperately and diabolically, no, that's not it, and how intensely we want to create said creative endeavor. So that's the first idea. The second idea is one that might ruffle some feathers, because I think oftentimes we assume the creative is the person who wakes up at 2 a.m. with the cold sweats and the idea that has dropped right from the sky, and they write these brilliant pieces, and it's like, where does their inspiration come from? Oh my gosh. When in reality, what Preston identifies, and what any good creative can actually attest to, is the fact that a professional, someone who actually does it for a living, creating for a living, they require a sense of order, a sense of structure. Any good creative would tell you that the best thing for them is some sort of scaffolding for the mind and the will. Something that you can rely on when you're not necessarily feeling it. And then again, we're back to the concept of resistance. That idea that there is always going to be things that push up against our creative endeavors. And when you have a sense of structure, a sense of order, something that helps create a sort of conduit for our creativity, a vessel that provides the framework for creativity. And yes, don't get me wrong, there is time and space for a messy desk and a cluttered room, and those kinds of things oftentimes help cultivate some sort of creativity. But more often than not, we find the best creativity is the one that is nurtured through order and structure and consistency. And really, that's the secret. And again, to recap, the first idea is the concept that the resistance, the friction that you find in any creative endeavor, the thing that stops you from sitting down, directly corresponds with the amount that you love said thing. If you've dreamed of being a printer, if you've dreamed about being a painter or a writer, it might be that very thing that you find the most difficult. And the second thing is that a true professional is someone who has a structure and order to their creativity. And the third idea is often the most difficult to come to grips with. And this is where he identifies the difference between an amateur or an intermediate and a pro is someone who sits down each and every day and puts energy towards their creative endeavor. And so that third idea, he says it like this, which I find really interesting. This is on page 101. There's no mystery in turning pro. It's decision brought about by an act, I love this, an act of will. We make up our mind to view ourselves as pros and we do it. Simple as that. I think oftentimes one of the single greatest contributing factors to any sort of resistance we feel to our creativity is the idea that we are not actually the thing that we say we are. What I mean by that is if you want to be a writer, start saying that you're a writer. If you want to be a painter, say that you're a painter. Here's the caveat though, is that when you say that you are said thing, you must actually do said thing. If you say that you are a YouTuber and you don't make any YouTube videos, you're a liar. If you say that you're a painter and you're not actually painting, you're kidding yourself. If you say that you're a writer and you're not sitting down each and every day to write, you may still be good at any one of those creative tasks. And yet the difference between an amateur and a pro is someone who views themselves as the kind of person who sits down to create every single day. So anyways, that's the third idea, is that you view yourself as someone who creates things, and then you not only view yourself that way, you create things. So again, resistance corresponds with love. The second idea is that you have an order, you have a structure in life. The third idea is that there's no mystery. You call yourself a creative and you create things. The fourth idea is this: resistance can be beaten. I am a testament to said beating. Oh gosh, that sounds terrible. I'm a testament to what it means to be somebody who didn't think that they were capable and is actually sitting down and doing said thing. While resistance feels like it's impossible to overcome, whether you've tried a million times to actually put your energy towards your creative venture and you haven't landed it yet, or perhaps you haven't even mustered the creative energy to put towards the thing that you want to do. Steven Pressfield, he reassures us that resistance can always be overcome. And I love the example he gives. He talks about childbirth. And a lot of creative people, they equate making the product or the idea, bringing it to life as if it's some sort of birth. And if you've made a creative project that takes you more than a day or two or a week or a month, you know this experience. You sit down to put energy towards that thing over and over and over again. And then eventually it comes to that culminating point where it's finished. You type in the end, or you sign off your dissertation, or you're finished, you're done. And then you realize that resistance doesn't have as much power as you think it did. It feels like it rules over us at times. And yet we are the architects of tomorrow. We are the people that, in order to form a more perfect union. No, just kidding. We are the people who craft tomorrow. We pull our creative ideas from the realm of inspiration into the real world, the tactile, physical world. And we say, look at what I have made. Look at the thing that I have put my energy towards to bring to a completion. And that's the fourth idea, is that resistance can be beaten. The fifth and final idea I want to talk about is what Steven Pressfield calls the muse. The creative force that pulls us and draws us and pushes us and prods us towards our creativity. On one end, you have resistance pushing us away from our creativity. And on the other end, you have this creative voice, this kind of siren of hope, if you will, that constantly encourages us and pushes us toward the dreams in our heart. And if you're watching this video, it's likely because these spurts of inspiration or these ideas, they well up in your heart and you're not too sure what to do with them. My encouragement to you, much to what Steven Pressfield is saying, is to sit down every single day and put your energy towards whatever creative endeavor that you have. What you'll notice is as you press in, that the more that you lean into your creativity, you expel the feeling of resistance through the order that you've created to cultivate your creativity. You'll start creating things that you're really proud of. I hope this was helpful. I know Steven Pressfield's book, The War of Art, was very helpful for me. If you want to get it, go ahead and snag it using the link below. And I will see you again very soon. Stay hydrated.